Good evening, everyone, and good afternoon, good morning, depending on where you're tuning in to us from. Welcome back to Revitalized Talk Show. I'm your host, Crystal Legrand, and we have another exciting episode for you this evening. So, I have two amazing special guests with me coming all the way from Cameroon. And if you don't know where Cameroon is, I will have them share more about their beautiful country with you. But as you know, we are in this series discussing education, and we're highlighting the amazing teachers that have been nominated to participate in our upcoming retreat called Revitalize. So, Revitalize is a teacher's appreciation retreat that is community funded and by the support of our ambassadors, our donors, our partners on the ground, and everyone else. We're making it possible for over 24 teachers to join us in the beautiful destination of Jamaica, and they will be pampered with an all expense paid trip. And they will have excursions, they will have workshops, they'll be staying at the beautiful Grand Palladium Lady Hamilton, which is an all-inclusive resort on the Montego Bay side of Jamaica. And so we will be sharing throughout this time and throughout the months leading up to their retreat more details about who these teachers are so that you can meet them, get to know them, hear their stories. We also have the brilliant ambassadors who were without whom we wouldn't be able to actually identify these star teachers from their country. So our ambassadors were tasked with identifying a teacher in their country whom we can reward with this incentive. And so there's lots of persons making this all come together into a brilliant experience. And as I mentioned, I have two guests with me. Today, we are joined by Dr. Cendoh. She is the ambassador to the Revitalized Project and initiative. She has helped us to identify our teacher, and you'll hear more about him later in the show. But I would first like to bring on our teacher and our ambassador. So I'm so excited, I'm mixing it up. So I'll bring on our ambassador from Cameroon to join me and share more information about Cameroon and as well as the teacher that has been nominated. Welcome.
Hello, hello, hello. Christelle, how are you doing? I'm happy to be here with you.
Yes, I am excited to have you here with me as well. It has been a journey to bring us to this point, but we are here, and I'm excited to know that we were able to identify a teacher to join us from your beautiful country. So first, before we get into, the country and everything else, let's prioritize you. Tell us who you are, what you do, and a little bit about yourself.
Uh, I tell you, I got so many hats on my head right now. I am the Asian African Chamber of Commerce President, the Global Trade 21 Commissioner for Cameroon, and the World Women Organization Envoy for Cameroon. I equally run my own companies. It's actually a consolidated, Nest Consolidated. So in Nest Consolidated, we have quite a handful of a consolidation of activities. We have Nest Agro Farms, we have an academy where we train and transform world-class career professionals into world-class brands. And
That is
then
brilliant.
we have a consultancy where we help business starting and established businesses to find their pathway to go bigger and a lot more recognized worldwide. Above all of this, I am a proud mom. And it's because of me being a mother and sending all my kids to amazing schools that I was able to identify one of the amazing teachers of them all, Mr. Keyeh.
Yes.
And I think that's it. That's it. Along the show, we're going to have a lot to talk about, right?
Absolutely. Because I know we're just scratching the surface on all the brilliance of who you are and what you've done throughout your career. If we had to go back, I don't think we even have enough camera roll to be able to account for all the brilliant things that you've done in Cameroon. And for our listeners, because most of our audience, as you know, I'm based in the Caribbean, and then we have audience from Canada as well as the United States and Europe. So tell us a bit about Cameroon and what what's special that people should know about the destination? Because I think there's a lot about these beautiful countries across the African nations and even in the Caribbean that persons just never heard about. So tell us about your country.
First, you must know about Cameroon. One thing you must know about Cameroon is Cameroon is Africa's miniature. Africa's miniature because everything that is found everywhere else in Africa, it's found in Cameroon. You can find it instead of going everywhere else, you should just come to Cameroon and you're going to discover everything else. That's the first thing geographically. Cameroon is blessed with everything. Our soils are healthy. And then there's another wonderful geographical aspect of Cameroon that it's very, I mean, it's worldwide known, which is our mountain, Mount Cameroon. Mount Cameroon, that's one of the highest mountains, and we've been having races runs there nationally and internationally over the years. Cameroon equally has, I mean, like Cameroon and Canada are the dual countries with two international languages, English and French.
Yes.
So Cameroon is remarkable. We are found in the center of Africa. We
So I
found the
think we're
center of
kindred.
Africa.
I think we're
And
kindred because where I'm from, it's also Dutch and English, Dutch and French.
oh,
So we do have that in common. So I love it. I'll fit in. I'll fit right in.
yeah, please come on in.
Yeah, absolutely. And
Yeah,
so, in thinking about Cameroon, did you have more to say about Cameroon itself as a country? And
first, I
yeah,
wouldn't skip Cameroon without talking about football. Cameroon is remarkable about football. Who doesn't know Etofis? And one of the highest paid players in the world in football. So Cameroon, actually, we have two languages, and we are 10 regions divided. And in these 10 regions, we have 8 which are French, which means French dominates, and English. I am from the English zone. I'm
yeah,
from the northwest of Cameroon. So we have northwest and southwest that speaks English, and then we have the rest of the regions that speak French. And however, we are very friendly people. We love food. Come on. And then we grow a lot of it too.
absolutely. And I think that's culturally that cultural affinity that we have in the Caribbean. We're all about the food. So it's food,
Mm,
culture, and sports and music. So we
true.
definitely those are the top things culturally that we are always connected to the African nations. And I always say that it's needed for the Caribbean region to reconnect more with the African nations because we are one people and there isn't enough synergy between how much Caribbean people visit the African nations and get to know these countries, and similarly how many Africans get to come over to the Caribbean region and see how we have adapted the culture and added our Caribbean flair to it. There's so much opportunity there to bridge connection, and hopefully you and I can bridge some connections as well and
True.
increase the amount of people who connect from the Caribbean region to Cameroon, because I know that people in St. Martin will definitely know and appreciate that dual culture of having English and French as part of just the natural order of things.
Mm.
Yeah.
That's a great one. It's going to be fun because I think I had this conversation with some other panel some time ago, and we're talking about merging the Caribbean and Africa. Africa and the Caribbean, there's basically no difference. We are black skins, and we are amazing people. We love food.
Yes,
So,
absolutely.
so we should
Yes.
think about doing something apart, revitalize talking to teachers and all of that. Let's see how we can connect these cultures together.
Absolutely. And I know that we will. As we progress forward, there will be more synergy and connection. So, coming into having that conversation, that really leads me straight into how the Revitalize project was kind of designed and how we kind of reached out to persons like yourself. Because what I strongly believe in is that collaboratively we can do many things. And so I'm very a strong proponent for collaboration. And I'm thankful that persons like yourself were so willing to work with us to help identify your teachers, but not just for the teacher's sake as well, but being able to understand that collectively, if we have persons from Cameroon and Ghana and Nigeria and Namibia and Tanzania now as well, and having persons across the Caribbean, if we can gather together in one space, then the conversation and the cross-border dialogue that we can have can be truly powerful. And we never know out of that conversation or out of that moment of being together, what can then become possible. So there might be tons of opportunity for collaborations with the teachers and as well as us as the partners who will be on the ground as well. So I'm thankful, first of all, for you coming on board and saying yes to that and saying yes to coming in. And I'm thankful for all the other ambassadors as well. What was your first thoughts when you heard about the project and you heard, what we were going to be doing? And we can also discuss like, what were the pros of what you thought initially, and what were some of the things that you were wondering, how are we going to work this out? Because this is what we want people to know. Yeah.
Honestly speaking, when you reached out the first time, that's about a month or so before, and you mentioned, I was like, a fully funded program. That's a trip for 8 days. I was like, okay, let's wait and see how it's going to happen. And then I've been waiting to hear you make calls and reach out to me and say, okay, go like this and go like this. But no, I just say you go ahead, you just forward this progress you've already made. You send the next progress, the social media pages. I follow them, I like them, I share them. I was like, okay, we're going somewhere. And then, boom, you say, okay, send me your proposed teacher, nominate us a teacher. I was like, okay, I sent one other teacher, which didn't go the way we wanted. And then I sent the second one. I was like, okay, now let's take a look. Let's take a second look again. Let's see where it's going, because believe you me, Crystal, a lot of people want to do so much and even better than what you're thinking, but they don't take the first step. Yeah. So me being who I am, I will always love to help us move along. If you present to me a project that makes me feel comfortable, I want to see it happen. And till now, I'm still like, okay, so I'll be in Jamaica soon. I'm waiting to get there.
Absolutely.
But I'm super excited. It was very surprising that all of this is going to happen, and it's happening. I was like, okay, this is the reality of life that we don't see in our comfort zones. And again, I want to take this opportunity for those who are watching us right now. Don't hide yourself. Don't hide your talent. I and Crystal, we met on social media, and we are making it big. We are connecting, and very soon we'll meet for the first time. I've known Crystal for is it 4 years or 5 years?
Just about. I think we met back in 2018 or so. Yes.
Imagine
it's been
that.
A while. Yes.
It's been a while, and we've kept this relationship. It's not about communicating all of the time, but we reach out to each other to see, okay, we have this upcoming project. Can you come in? And so, I'll be going to Jamaica. We'll meet, and definitely you're going to come to Cameroon sometime soonest. So,
yes. Definitely. And that's a really key point that you just made a mention of. Sometimes you meet people 10 years ago, but it's until you find that moment. So sometimes building the relationship and staying in touch is important, because eventually you will come to the point where you can say, okay, this project, this is the one that we can collaborate on. You might not know that in the beginning. So I'm always saying, meet new people and network, because eventually you'll find a project that is perfect for someone in your network. And then that is your opportunity then to build together. So I'm thankful that we kept in touch and we kept the relationship going. And to this point now, working together on this project. And I see that we have our teacher with us. And so I would love to add him to the conversation as we start talking about education and everything else. But let's begin by introducing Mr. Keyeh to the conversation. Come and join us. Hello and welcome to Revitalized. And first, let me say congratulations to you on your nomination for this amazing retreat. We are commending you for the amazing work that you're doing, because I know that you wouldn't be identified for this retreat by Dr. Cendoh if you weren't brilliant and contributing to the youth in your community. So first of all, congratulations. And and I was trying not to call you Mofor. So pronounce your last name for me, and I will definitely remember to greet you professionally.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Dr. Mofor. Thank you very much, Madam Christelle. It's really good meeting you tonight. I'm happy to join you on the studio, and I think nominating me, I think is really a privilege on my side. Thanking the organization for seeing me. Thank you, Madam Mofor or Dr. Mofor for thinking of me too. I think that's where I know people are thinking of me. Thank you very much. Tonight we're going to have time.
Yes. And so tell us about your career, first of all. Tell us about how you got to decide, first of all, to be a teacher and how long you've been in the education field.
Okay. I started, I left university in 2005, where I started working in a project in the southwest region of Cameroon, that would be Cameroon for the other side. I started a project, and 3 years later, I happened to, the project happened to stop. So I had to look for another alternative. And I found myself that I have knowledge. And why don't I try to pass this knowledge to other people since I studied economics in school? So that is how I got myself involved in some local type of teaching, getting 1 or 2 students, passing my knowledge, and then falling in love with the teaching profession. Since
Love
2009,
it.
I'm there till date, and I've already more than 14 years inside the project.
Right.
So this is my 14th year inside the project. So I'm happy being a teacher.
Yes. And what is the, just generally speaking, how is the education system in Cameroon? Give us some insights in terms of, how the landscape is, especially now post pandemic, because we know that, everything that happened with the COVID-19 pandemic really shift the education system in a lot of ways. So how did you cope within that time, and how is it now in education in your country?
Thank you very much. Uh, During the pandemic, let me start from the pandemic. The pandemic in 2019, COVID-19 actually disturbed education a bit. Actually, we had to go on online teaching, social media, WhatsApp assignments, using other means to learners. It took us some little time for us to actually adapt our learners to the new system, since actually here in Africa or here in Cameroon, we're not yet very versed with the modern system or the multimedia system of learning. So we're
Mhm.
forced to start shaping our learners and shaping ourselves, because I myself, is during that time I even learned how to start putting on these computers that we are talking about, start learning how to use them to teach. So that is during the COVID. So I think the COVID has also played a role to help us. Now, concerning the educational system of Cameroon, actually, Cameroon is a bilingual country, which we actually everyone should know about. We are both French speaking and we're English speaking. Now, the two subsystems of education are flowing together. Now, I am in the English subsystem of education, where in the English subsystem of education, our secondary school level, we have to go undergo it for 7 good years. In the first 5 years, you obtain your first what we call ordinary level certificate or your technical vocational education certificate. Then the next 2 years, you get your advanced level certificate for you to move to the university. Now, the system is quite good. I think most of our students who leave Cameroon and move out there, they are good examples. They actually, in terms of knowledge, they are well equipped. I know the little challenges we might have is the problem of the practical sessions, which I think will be discussing more as you have more questions to ask the directions to see how to improve on education. Yes.
Yes. I think that's very similar in some other of the nations that we've talked with. And so through this program, what we want to focus on is mental health and awareness. So welcome back, Dr. Mofor, as well, because I would love to hear your thoughts as well on this. Is we're focusing on mental health and awareness and everything around education, but from the perspective of teachers. So we know that teachers are responsible for raising the young people, showing up every day, and there's lots of things that impact teachers. So first, let's talk about what are some of the impacts that happen in the world of a teacher in general that persons might not even recognize that you go through on a day-to-day basis, because as a teacher you might be dealing with some of the things that we've heard is, for instance, having to care for the students' meals from their own pockets. We've had systems where teachers have to, buy supplies. And we want to highlight these things, not only the negative, because I'm sure that there are brilliant things that are happening as well and advancements that are being put into place. But we want to know this so that we can also encourage the community to focus on how they can support the teachers. So what are some of the issues and how can the community support our teachers globally, but as well specifically today in Cameroon?
Before Mr. Keyeh
Okay.
comes in to say something, I've been with teachers for the past, my eldest daughter is turning 21 soon, and she's in university. I get to be very personal with my children's teacher. That's why I got to know Mr. Keyeh personally, because I don't just want to take my kids from home and then throw them into a classroom without knowing who is going to be taking care of them. Because the most time they are in the hands of such teachers. And when I get to talk to these teachers, sometimes it's very painful how much they are not feeling so comfortable. Some of them have low self-esteem due to probably low salaries, most of them, especially in the private sector. They feel, they will have so much enthusiasm to get there and transfer their most to these children. But when you realize what you're going to get back in return, it's not very sufficing. It gets to demoralization. And sometimes I face teachers who've had assaults and insults from either the parents, from the school administration, or from the neighborhood. Neighborhood, how? Assaults, for example, sometimes you can discipline a child. And at the end of the day, when you're going back home, the community is waiting to correct your error. So those are some of the challenges. Yeah, it's a fact. Maybe some people will not want to talk about it, but this is a call for concern. Of course, we cannot do corporal punishment, but at the same time, some children can be so funny that they don't want to have a right attitude, and at the end of the day, the parents, the teachers fall victims. And again, sometimes, to be honest with you, when I look at some of the teachers, private or government teachers, I feel a bit low because they don't get the opportunity to have self-development trainings from career professionals, from professionals. Because if you are not, it's not just about I went for training to be a teacher and I got certified and I've been teaching for the highest time of my adult life, and you think you're strong enough. Life every day comes with punches. So I think from time to time, our teachers need to be retrained and recurbed. They have to be remanaged in their minds. That's the more reason why till every other day, I will celebrate Revitalize, because not every teacher will have the opportunity to raise money to travel abroad and meet with other teachers. Just this is a therapy alone. Let's keep aside every other benefit. It is a therapy. It's going to help them calm their nerves, and it's coming at a time when they'll go out and spend 8 days and then come back and spend a couple of weeks or a month, and then schools restart. You're coming back with a refreshed and a refined mind. Most teachers, for example, after they go on holidays, they don't have anywhere else to go. They don't even have the means to go somewhere, even if they have a place to go. And they get themselves into drinking. If Revitalize could go ahead and help these teachers, even while Revitalize program is not ongoing, they could do small communities of teachers and they get to re-educate them, especially on holding yourself back. We
Yeah.
have teachers, even no matter how much they pretend, they're going through trauma. The noise alone they receive from the primary schools through the universities is not a bed of roses. And trust me on that, I cannot take it.
Yeah.
So if you could have a way to put up programs, online programs, they could actually help these teachers, those who are not able to travel, who are not selected to travel, for example, or even those who travel, when they return, that knowledge you can just last with you within a very short while. So, but if we have programs that from time to time they could call them back to other and just boost their morals and maybe have some small something to chip it into their pockets from sponsors, I bet.
Yes. And so we lost Mofor there on her final comments, but I definitely agree with what she is saying in terms of the mental health and the ability for the teachers to stay motivated. And so, Mr. Keyeh, tell us about how the the mental health of the teachers, just teachers that you work with and things like that. I know in lots of our communities we don't necessarily talk about mental health, but are there ways that you're already kind of building mental health into your day-to-day lives and everything else? And how have you ever had an experience with, whether it's yourself or maybe one of your colleagues, that has had a mental break?
Okay, thank you very much for that particular issue of mental health. Actually, it has not yet been built in the curriculum of our system, but what we do as both administrators and teachers, we help our fellow young teachers to learn how to manage their stress, because one of the things that first of all push you to develop having mental problems or mental disorders is coming from serious stress. Dr. Mofor just mentioned something which actually she seemed to be speaking like a teacher. I was looking at her talking like a teacher to another teacher. Actually, the teachers go through a lot, ranging from overloaded work, let's call it overtime work, where they don't have enough time to rest. And all those things, when you don't have good time to rest, you are forced to start developing problems psychologically or mentally. Now, when you come to school and then you happen now, the educational system has changed where our time when we're going to school, they used to use corporal punishment on us. Now the landscape has changed. We can no longer beat children. We can no longer lay our hands on them. We have to look for different means to help them out. So we as teachers now we struggle with that with our own problems, and then we struggle with the students' problems. Now to see
Yes.
how we can balance it to make sure that the whole learning environment is suitable for both us and the students.
Yeah. Yeah.
Madam Legat, I will just mention something to you.
Mhm.
You will bear with me. We are in Africa. Our system is different from that of the Caribbean or maybe the US.
Correct.
Maybe because in your side you have a lot of didactic materials that you may use to maybe teach the child to distract the child. We call it distraction because by distraction you will help to relieve some stress. Now, if teachers also have such things which can distract them, it will help boost their mental health. A lot of
Right.
teachers go through stress because doctor mentioned you don't have a good salary, for example. Just for example, you don't have a good salary. You find yourself that you cannot pay your bills effectively. You can't eat well. You can't even sleep well because the landlord may be on your head for your rents, and then you have to get up the next day and then you come and collect a meager salary which you cannot meet those things. The teacher is forced to be going through those stress. But I really think doctor mentioned if there are other ways that people can galvanize support for teachers. It is one of the least recognized professions in the world presently, particularly in Africa. Teaching. It, The student can match you, or the people can match you and pass because the parent has much money, and then you are forced to be struggling to deal with trying to correct the child because you know it's a child, and then the parent can carry you and lock. I've had teachers who have been jailed because maybe they try to correct a child out of love, out of care, maybe accidentally they gave the child a small slap on the cheek, and they were taken to prison before releasing them after. Those things all traumatizes a teacher, and any teacher would not like to go to prison and come back to the class. I think it has not happened to me as a teacher because I have always learned to manage my stress, manage my actions toward people, and treat everybody individually, not transfer aggression. I don't take what is in the house and bring to school. I don't take what is in school and carry straight to the house, especially when they're not good. I only try to take the good things to the house, but good things from the house to school. So I think
And I could appreciate that because I think that on different degrees, there's so much pressures for teachers just across the board. And what the reason why we wanted to emphasize on this retreat, that this retreat will not be about helping teachers become better teachers. Like, we're not teaching curriculum, for instance. We're not teaching education. Teachers are already great at their profession. So we don't need to teach teachers how to teach. We need to be able to teach teachers how to cope within their classrooms, how to handle the different attitudes in the classroom, how to get the classrooms into being more synergetic so that the learners can learn, so that the youth can learn. So our focus really here is to focus on the individual. And I often very wary about people who want to demand from a teacher more and more without thinking, first of all, about the individual person. And so as an individual, you must be able to be properly financed. So of course, paid well for your job. You must be able to have the resources to teach. So you need materials. You need to be in a proper facility. So there are many things that contribute collectively to making the environment around the teacher holistic and proper. And I'm hopeful that through our initiative, we have more dialogue with the powers that be. So with persons that can make actionable change in different countries. One of the things our, of course, focus is in mental health and awareness. And so Dr. Mofor, as you mentioned earlier, I want to kind of circle back to that. You did mention that we should have more initiatives where we have workshops for teachers and capacity building, and as well as, mental health workshops, all these things. And we're definitely looking into that. So we're looking into experts like yourself who do work in professional development to work with us to, after the retreat, to build a continuum of quarterly events, even if we had to, or monthly events, where we can gather all the teachers. We don't always have the leisure of bringing you to the destination, but we can definitely do quite a few things virtually, and we want to be able to maximize that. So I know that I'm saying this here because I know that you have a heart for this, and I know that we can definitely invite you to come on and be with us as the facilitators who will be impacting the teachers beyond this retreat, and even throughout bringing new persons into the retreat as well. So what I wanted to also kind of tack on is we've had interesting conversations with persons who tell us then, our initiative should focus on, financing schools, building more schools, building resources and everything like that. And while I can agree that those things are necessary, I personally think that everyone can't contribute to building more schools, and everyone can contribute to building resources, because we can have a ton of schools with broken teachers. So in our own way, we want to first start with the foundation, because I strongly believe that if a teacher is well equipped and well equipped physically, mentally, financially, then that teacher can teach under a tree if they had to. It really doesn't matter. So, but I would love to hear your thoughts around this discussion of, you know, if we had resources, if we had $1 million right now, where would we put the resources? How would we divide that up? Whereas we know that resources we need in terms of building more schools and everything else, but we also need mental health. What are your thoughts around prioritizing?
To be honest with you, I don't see any reason why you want to build more schools. We already have enough schools. Like you rightly said, what is the essence of you having 1,000 schools with broken teachers? Revitalize is about vitalizing teachers. Let's focus on that theme. And the more teachers you mend, you fix, you repair, you remove them from getting into trauma, you remove them. In fact, most of them are already in trauma state. The moment you're able to remove them from there, you've saved a lot of schools and a lot of students, and you've fixed and you've mended a future. You may not even live to see, but trust me, in one way or the other, your name will be mentioned. Building people is bigger than you could ever imagine. Rescuing people from losing it out. I use this opportunity this morning. Somebody recommended me to talk to somebody, and when I was talking with her, I realized she's a teacher. She's an English teacher, and she attempted suicide this morning.
Wow.
She attempted suicide. Yes. And I spoke with her for 2 good hours, and I heard her laugh. And I felt it was like I drank a cold bottle of water on a very hot day. She was just returning from the hospital because she took a knife and stabbed herself. She said she wants to die. And when the blood started oozing out, somebody found her, and then they rushed her to hospital, and then. Now, she has her story. What if we start listening to the stories of these teachers?
Absolutely.
And dare to design documentaries for their stories, dare to come up with magazines for their stories. Let them get to have someone rebuild and reboost their confidence. Some of them are slowly giving up on life, and the reason why they get to go violent on the children, our children, is not because they want to, but the situations they find themselves in. They have a life outside the teacher. Like Mr. Keyeh rightly said, when you leave school, you're going home, you leave school stress back at home. And when you're leaving home with your stress, that is to say, there is home stress because you're an independent body with or without your profession.
Yeah.
So if Revitalize could focus on, untainted, undiluted in its vision, in revitalizing our teachers, then that is a billboard that nobody can take down. Nobody can break it. It can never expire.
Yeah.
Our teachers need us. Our teachers need us even more than the teachers. The students need the teachers. Because a broken teacher can only transmit that brokenness to the kids.
Right.
That's why some students hate subjects like maths, like physics, because they have terrible teachers. The teachers come and they want you to understand the way they do understand, not because that's what they want, but because every day they wake up, they deny themselves being a teacher. They don't want to be a teacher because of the trauma they're going through. And they need somebody to use them also, to see them as a student too, and educate them and help them sometimes. Guess what? No matter how much we look at them, they're human beings. They have pains. They get hurt. And they need a hug. And they need to cry from time to time. So let's give them the opportunity to have a shoulder to lean on and cry. And we don't blame them for crying as an adult, and help them cross the bridge they have been struggling to cross for years. There's no need denying that. Instead of building schools, my answer is no. You cannot build a school bigger than Harvard. You can't build a school bigger than Sorbonne. But you can build a teacher stronger and wiser than the universe can ever imagine. That's my point of view.
Absolutely. And I fully 110% agree with that. And something that you said just now in terms of eliminating the trauma that teachers go through, because the trauma is transferred. The teacher is in most cases, what I find very interesting, and Mr. Keyeh, I know that you can understand this because you're the one in the hot water, right? Um, Dr. Mofor and I are just watching from outside of it, but you're in it, and you definitely know that students spend majority of their day in the presence of a teacher. You're the one that is really contributing more than 50% of their upbringing. So in that time and space that you're spending with the students, you're transferring your happiness, you're transferring your, aggression, no matter whatever your condition is, you're transferring that. And one of the pain points that I have personally is the hefty um pedestal sometimes that we put teachers on. Not that they don't deserve honor, but pedestal in the terms of the fact that they can't be broken. And so to Mofo's point just now is sometimes you are tired, sometimes you do want to sit and drink, or sometimes you do want to go out and dance, but because of the persona of a teacher, you're not allowed the liberty sometimes to cry, or the liberty to go out and just scream. You're not allowed certain liberties. Have you found in your kind of profession and in your space that you're stifled in some ways with expressing, well, I'm upset today, so just don't talk to me. I'm going to sit in my corner and you do your thing and I'll do my thing. I don't think you have such a liberty. How has been your experience over the years with dealing with that? Dealing with being in the limelight all the time under so much scrutiny?
I think I will talk using myself like a teacher because being a teacher, I have a lot of experience on my side. I grew up with, from secondary school life right through. I was the type that was flowing. I love playing football all the life. Now our system does not stop us from playing. Our system gives us the room to also learn to play. But now we have what we call internal rules and regulations that limit you from doing some things, which you may love to do them. I'll take, for example, my institution where I teach. You will not be you are not permitted to be found drinking around the school. It is not signifying to you as a teacher. But you see there are bars around the school where a teacher might feel like to go and relax there. Now, with that type of situation, I have not made myself that I cannot go and sit now in the bar.
Yeah.
Or when I go to the bar, if I find myself in one of such bars around, I go and hide inside. So psychologically, I'm hiding from the student, which is not correct.
Yeah.
So that is a circumstance where many teachers find themselves.
Yeah.
And they don't know who to cry to, and they don't know what to do to come up with it. But what is pushing them into all that? It is the stress from what they are doing. As Dr. Mofor said, many people, many parents, or let me call many of sponsors of students, they have the means, and then the teacher does not have the means. Now, when there's that gap between the teacher and the parents is too wide, you see the teacher tend to look like a beggar. You see some teachers struggling to beg.
Yeah.
We have been able to at times to deal with corruption in the life of some teachers because they did not have the means, so they had to collect money from somewhere to change marks. All that is coming, is making them because of the stress they are going through.
Right.
So all those small things around a teacher's life, if a teacher we have programs that can revitalize them or can reshape their thinking, or can, from time to time, they have the opportunity to have dialogue with administration, because the administration itself also is pushing them. Because some administration that are too close, that are too rigid, they look too stiff even for the young teachers.
Yeah.
I'm a teacher at the same time an administrator. So I've learned to manage both teachers and administration the way I can My teacher will not tell me that it's stress around me. And then
Yeah.
I feel comfortable. I always want them to look comfortable. So I will try to ask, what is the stress? What is the problem? So that we dialogue. All is not
Yeah.
about money. All is not
Right.
about money. It's about the well-being of the person. So I think we can do something or organize if we can lobby for something that can help teachers psychologically. It will help them. It will be a great thing for them.
Yes, I fully agree. And I'm just listening to you, and I remember a story that I once heard from one of our other teachers, and she said she went to a disco, and she's an adult, obviously she can go to a club, and it wasn't the student that ran into her, but the student's parent, and they had the audacity to tell her what she was doing there because she has to be a role model for her child. And so and in your head, you're thinking, well, you are the parent. If you are here, then I should have the liberty to also be here. Why am I held to a higher standard than even the parents? We had a good laugh about it because it was just ridiculous. But just thinking about the audacity of our people in our community, that they look to teachers and they have this high expectation that you are supposed to stay rigid, stay within order, be this all the time. It's just literally impossible as a human to stay that way all the time. You need to have flexibility and liberty. And I'm really excited to be able to provide this flexibility in our retreats. So one of the things that I intentionally, because of this situation, included in the itinerary is a night out on the town, so that you can, without, the eyes of your community, without the eyes of your parents, without the eyes of your students, you can be able to just let your hair down, have a good time, and we're not saying that teachers gone wild. Um, so that's not the case. But teachers need to be able to just be human, be themselves. And through our initiative, we're really hopeful that one teacher at a time, we start to give them opportunity to breathe and have more conversations, so that people start to look at themselves and realize that, okay, maybe I should reevaluate the way that I'm teaching or treating my teacher in my community. So as we talk about it more, and as we have more of these interviews and hear your story, and as Mofor said earlier, Dr. Mofor said earlier, we can do more in terms of putting out more content around the life experiences of teachers to shed more light on education, because I strongly believe you are the foundation of the education system, and every single person, no matter who they are around the world, they have been built upon the wisdom and the contributions and the sacrifices of a teacher at some point in their life. So every one of us globally, we're saying a collective thank you through this program to teachers like yourself, Mr. Keyeh, and I am excited and looking forward to welcome you to the beautiful island of Jamaica. We will be journeying there in October. And so any final words before we wrap up from you, Mr. Keyeh?
My final word will be dedicated to teachers. I want to just tell teachers, you got everybody's time you can. Perseverance is one of the things that can make your future bright. And what I've noticed is that in my country, 2 out of 5 people want to leave the profession because they want to look for greener pastures. So I really wish we can have opportunities where our teachers can really be happy, they can be strong, and they can make a difference. Madame de Graaf, your Revitalized program, if it can be extended to as many teachers as possible in future, I'm sure a lot of teachers will find it a pleasure to relax and come and be re-energized for a new generation. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much for being here with us today. And I would love to also hear final words from you, Dr. Mofo, on what your thoughts are and anything that you would like to say to teachers as well. Over to you.
Thank you. What will be my last word? Grab the opportunities when they come. Keep your networks, create networks even with your your parents. Your parents are not your enemies. I have been a parent. If I nominated Mr. Keyeh, it's because he made himself available. Be available, make your parents get to know them. In one way or the other, an opportunity may just knock at your door and it becomes a wow for you. So don't trick your children that you get to teach them as enemies, but use them as a leeway to your next level. That's my final word, and that's going to the teachers. And the next final word will be to you, Crystal. I am so proud of you. I wouldn't have gone without saying, I'm proud of you. I wouldn't. I'm so proud of you coming up with such an initiative. It's first of its kind. And I pray, God, may sponsors just begin to flock in so many more teachers will come in and hug you at the airport and up to the day they are leaving. I
Yeah.
pray everything moves on perfectly well henceforth. Thank you.
Thank you both so much. Really, really excited. Yes, I'm looking forward to the hugs. Thank you for being on our talk show today. And so we encourage persons to look out for more information from Dr. Mofo. Follow her on her LinkedIn channels as well. We will put them in the comments of this show so that you can follow Dr. Mofo and all the work that she's doing. Mr. Keyeh as well. We will have more conversations with him as we journey towards October. Thank you so much, both of you, for joining me here on the show. We're excited to continue on and invite our communities to be on board with us as we make this initiative possible. So, of course, persons that are watching us now need to learn about how you can contribute to this initiative and how you can make it possible for us to drive this crowdfunding campaign forward. So I'm going to put a link really quickly at the bottom of my screen, which is the donation link that we have active. Our accounts are in the Netherlands, so the accounts are in euros, but don't worry, you can pay in any currency. The minimum is €5, which is $6. And then, of course, it can convert to your local currencies. Is at bit.ly/revitalized donations. Or if you like, you can head over to our website, and that is revitalizedstar.com. And you will find the links to our website. You can follow us on social media. Check out our pages. I'm sharing tons of information about this project, our initiative, and everything else that is happening behind the scenes as we journey towards October and beyond. And so, yes, one quick note, we do have nominations open for 2024. So we recently opened nominations for you to send us the name of your teacher in your community that could join us in 2024. We have not yet identified where we'll be headed, but a birdie has said that the African nations should be something that we explore. Our Caribbean teachers are excited about heading over to the African nations for 2024. So potentially that may be our next destination, but we will have more details about that in the coming months. Nevertheless, in the meantime, if you head over to our website, at the top you will see Get Involved. If you click on that, there is a drop-down menu that has a option for Nominate a Teacher. And if you select that, then you can submit the name of your teacher. And this will be for 2024. So our nominations for 2023 is already closed. But we, as I mentioned, we will have more opportunities as we continue to promote this event, promote this initiative across the globe, because we know that our teachers need us. And so I am the host. We are looking forward to collaborating with you. If you would like to reach out to us directly, you can do so. You can look on our website. There is contact forms there, and our contact information is on the site as well. So go over to the site, send us a message if you have questions, send us an email, and we will be able to get back to you within 24 hours. Have a great evening, and bye, and see you next time. We'll be back next week with our next episode of the show. Joining us will be a teacher from Tanzania. And so we will share more details about our Tanzanian teacher on our social media pages. So look out for that. But we will be back live next week, Wednesday, the 26th of July. So see you next week.